OneShot, the critically acclaimed indie game that masterfully blends pixel art and a profound narrative. A surreal world filled with puzzles, memorable characters, and existential mysteries. With unique fourth wall breaking mechanics, OneShot not only challenges the way you play, but how you perceive the relationship between player and game. Here's how I really feel about OneShot. When you first wake up in the bed of a strange home with no memories, you don't really expect much. You think, oh, this is just another pixely puzzle game. But as you open that computer, you get slammed into the fourth wall head first. This is the first time that a video game has ever called me by my real name. And then once you hit Profit Bot, the character gets in on calling you by your real name too, which creates this deep connection between Niko and yourself, the real you. The game not only resonates with you, but speaks to you personally, has conversations with you, puts its trust in you, which creates this beautiful connection between you as a human being and a coded, digital, predetermined story. As Niko grows more attached to this world and its inhabitants, so do you. The stakes don't feel manufactured. They feel real, especially as the game continuously asks, what are you willing to sacrifice? The weight of choice looms over the story, culminating in a finale that is equal parts bittersweet and profound. I'll be honest, during the first run-through, the only person I ended up caring about was Niko. The characters felt robotic to me, pun intended. I felt like the major characters didn't get enough time in the spotlight to really tug at my heartstrings and to make an impact. Other than Alula and Calamus, who really stood out to me because of their defining characteristics, the NPCs really did just feel like a program. And if it wasn't for the Solstice run, this video would have me showing a different opinion. However, the Solstice run had me quaking. Not only giving me the depth that I craved by giving the leading NPCs more spotlight, but also by adding new characters that felt more human to me than any other NPCs. Because, well, they were human. The fact that these characters somehow felt more human than the others just adds to my amazement for how they brought these characters to life. The ones with actual life essence to them. However, the character I really need to put a spotlight on is Niko. Whoever wrote the character of Niko needs a standing ovation because wow, are they ever an incredibly written character. What puts Niko aside from the other characters is their genuine humanity. Despite being thrust into an unfamiliar world and tasked with the monumental responsibility of saving it, Niko stays relatable and grounded. Their childlike curiosity, moments of vulnerability, and heartfelt dialogue make them feel more like a companion than a protagonist. And this companionship only amplifies the emotional weight of the story, as Niko's struggles and hopes become your own. There's a lot to unpack when it comes to the presentation of OneShot. To start, the pixel art style is minimalistic, yet incredibly effective, with each area telling its own story through color, design, and atmosphere. The barrens feel desolate and lifeless, while the refuge has this eerie vibrancy, alive yet weighed down. The glen, with its lush greenery, gives you a brief break from the somber tone, but even there, you're reminded of the fragile state of the world. Every visual detail, no matter how small, feels intentional. And the soundtrack, man, the soundtrack. It's not flashy, it's not in your face, but it doesn't need to be. The music perfectly matches the tone of each area. Whether it's the melancholic piano in the barrens, the melodies of the glen, or the reflective tunes of the refuge. It never overwhelms you, instead it amplifies the emotion of every moment. Long after the credits roll, you'll find yourself humming the tunes or hearing them echo in your mind, tied to the emotions they stirred during your playthrough. I find myself now just listening to the soundtrack in the background as I work, and it still strikes that emotion in me as it did the first run through. The cutscenes to me, though, were probably the most impactful, memorable part of OneShot. They're not about big, dramatic moments. They're about quiet, emotional beats that stick with you. Niko staring out over the refuge, contemplating their dreams, or just having a moment of reflection. All of these scenes are simple, yet they carry so much weight. They aren't maybe minimal, but the way the game frames these moments, combined with its music and dialogue, makes them unforgettable. The Solstice run takes the cutscenes to a whole new level. Here, the game gives you answers, depths, and emotions you didn't even realize you were craving. Characters who felt distant or robotic before suddenly feel alive, and the study gains layers you didn't even expect. It's like the game saves its biggest emotional punches for the end, and when they land hard. What makes the fourth wall so impactful is that it's not just a gimmick, it's a core part of the story. When the game breaks the fourth wall, it's not just being clever, it's making you feel like you matter. You're not just playing as Niko, you're part of their journey. And that connection makes every decision and every moment hit so much harder. And yes, when Niko calls you God, you might get a little ego boost, until you realize you're also responsible for all the tough choices. No pressure or anything. The innovation really shines during the Solstice run, where everything you thought you knew gets flipped on its head. It's not just more story, it's a whole new way of experiencing the game. Suddenly, the mechanics, the world, and your role in it all feel deeper, more meaningful, and even more personal. It's like the game pulled a plot twist on itself. In a world full of safe, predictable games, OneShot dares to be different. It breaks boundaries, blurs lines, and finds new ways to connect with players. It's bold, creative, and proof that innovation isn't just about what a game can do, it's about how it makes you feel. And OneShot nails it. Plus, it's the only game that's ever made me question if my computer is plotting against me or not, and honestly, I respect that. When it comes to emotional impact, let's just say that this is the most expensive game I've ever purchased. The game itself being $13, but the 10 therapy sessions following being $1,500. And I think $1,513 for a game is just way too much. OneShot doesn't just tell you a story, it makes you feel it. Niko's journey through a dying world is full of quiet moments that sneak up on you, tugging at your heartstrings when you least expect it. Their trust in you feels so real, and when the game asks you to make an impossible choice, to save the world or to send Niko home, it hits like nothing else. It's not just a story, it's an experience that leaves you full of hope, heartache, and the feeling that you've been part of something truly special. So overall, I'd say OneShot deserves to be put along some of my other favorite games. I give it a solid S rank and 9 out of 10 light bulbs.